Good morning. Today is Sunday, July the 2nd, and I'm Sister Charlene Winston, and I'll be bringing you the lesson this morning. This is the Sunday's lesson that we've led up to throughout the week, and our lesson this morning is Moses and the burning bush, and our lesson is coming from Exodus, the third chapter, the first verse through the 12th. It's our Sunday school book. Is the Bible Expo and Illuminator. And this is it in case you may be interested in it. And it's from the Union Gospel Press. And it says the Exodus 3 1 through 22, time about 1445 BC, place Horeb. And our golden text, our theme verse for this morning is the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptian oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Exodus 3 9 and 10. This is a great introductory verse letting us know that the angel of the Lord spoke with Moses and told him that he would be the one to bring his people out of Egypt. And as I was mentioning earlier this week, he is one of our more prominent uh, leaders that was brought about through the grace of the Lord to bring the Hebrew children out of Egypt. Our scripture lesson text, beginning at the first verse, reads, Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see the great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, and to a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptian oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, Who am I that should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee, that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. Amen. This is a wonderful and powerful lesson. It has so much in it. I'm going to get as much brought out as possible during this short time frame. We're going to start back at the first verse. It said, Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest. Uh, Even though Moses himself had been a priest in his land, in Egypt, while he lived in the household of the Egyptian, now he was a shepherd, someone that they made fun of, someone that they talked about. He's doing the very job that the people of Egypt did not like. They didn't like shepherds. They didn't like people that worked in those type of trades. He said, uh, but Moses went to the backside of the desert where he sought to find food for the sheep. He went there to find, he was their protector, he was their guide, and he was doing a job learning in the field, as they say, of hard knocks, learning what his life would be about. It would be about leading. And this hymn was to get him trained and ready. How do he get trained and ready? By working with sheep. I would say that dealing with those that are supposed to follow you, but yet they murmur and complain. The sheep are going one way or going astray, going in the wrong direction, and you learn how to handle them with firmness but kindness, and to protect them from all harm and danger. He learned many things while dealing with the sheep. And saying that, and we are as sheep of God's pasture, and we ought to follow him. Saying the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire in the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. This bush was a special bush that it was in holy ground that would not burn. And it reminds us of that we are not to let the flame of the fire go out for the Lord in our life, in our heart, in our thoughts, and in our action. It also puts us in remind of the text where it speaks about uh, where Paul was off came off the ship, and after the ship had tore up and they had come off of land, and he picked up wood to help keep the fire going for the people, because the people was kind to them and brought them warmth and sheltered them. So he was going to help to show his appreciation, and he picked up wood to bring. And as he put the wood on the fire, a viper jumps out to bite him and bites his hand, or catches hold of him. And so we are to learn, as Paul was uh, in the process of uh, keeping the flame going. We are to keep the flame of the Lord burning in our life, in our hearts, by doing the will of the Lord. And Moses said, I will turn aside and see the great sight while the bush is not burned. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush. Do we pay attention to what's going on around us? Do we notice the things that is around us? And as Moses did when God called him and said, Moses, Moses, he said, and he said, Here am I. Do we answer, Here am I? As the lad did that was taken to live in the shelter of the priest's home. Uh, and when the Lord called him, his father, his guide told him to say, Here am I, thou callest me. And he did. And the Lord gave him the sight of the vision that was for the priest's sons, because they had lived a wayward life. They were doing things that they shouldn't have done. And said the fifth verse, and it said, Draw not nigh, uh, neither put off thy shoes off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Do we give God reverence when we walk in the house of the Lord? Or do we check it off as something that we must do on a weekly basis? Do we go in as if, okay, I done went to church Sunday, I done did that for the week? Do we go in praising the Lord, giving him thanks and glory, not because of the things that we're going through, but giving him thanks and glory for the things that he has brought us through already in our life? And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people in Egypt. The Lord heard their cry, even though it took them until after the king had died to begin to realize what hard taskmasters they had. And they finally began to cry for the Lord. Then the Lord heard their cry. When we cry out, the Lord hears our cry, but we got to we got to be the one to initiate and let the Lord know that we do want him in our life. We do want him to lighten our burdens and to take care of us. It's as I say, it is so much in this lesson. Have to go on to the 12th verse, and it says, certainly I will be with thee and shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee. And this is one thing that we must get in our mind uh, very dearly, is that as Moses was telling them that it was very strong and very powerful. Those that will be ending, I pray that you check me on YouTube and you can hear the rest of the most of the sermon. The As he was telling them that I have sent thee, it said, when thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, you shall serve me upon this mountain. We be looking for signs and wonders uh, right away, many times. And Moses was to go to Egypt, bring millions of people cross the Red Sea over many different areas, and then when he got to the mountain, it would be a sign. Many times we're waiting on a sign and the sign is ahead. We got to get there first. I pray that you meditate on this wonderful lesson today, and y'all have a great and blessed day.